Right, let's talk about old Joe, Sleepy Joe Biden. Here's one thing. I'm still with Pete Barnes, by the way. This old guy, he got shafted. Once he had made a fool of himself in the June TV debate where, the whole world realised this guy is not at the races. He's lost his marbles. The Democrats, including Kamala Harris, disgracefully had tried to cover that up. No, he's all there. He's making all the decisions. No. They tried to cover up that guy's senility, the fact that he was losing his marbles. And when that TV debate happened, there was no going back. The Democrats said, right, he can't possibly go into the election, and that was sort of a correct decision, I think. But then they tried to say, oh, no, he's still the president, he's perfectly all right and all that. Now, Joe Biden, we know, was very hurt by the way he was defenestrated. He was dumped, like yesterday's chips. He really was just thrown aside. He, throughout Kamala's campaign, kept saying, I'm available to help, and basically Kamala privately said, over my dead body. So apparently they kept sending him messages to say, oh yeah, we'll get back to you, and they never did. So he was like the lonely old president that no one was talking to. But he's got an ego, old Joe, and he was furious. And when we were going to play you a very key bit of footage here, now people say, oh, he didn't know what he was saying. He knew what he was saying. This was, shall we say, the last exocet from a president on his way out who just thought, you're going to screw around with me, I'm going to screw around with you. Watch this.
Puerto Rico, where I'm in my home state of Delaware, they're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
So, in effect, there's 71 million Americans yesterday voted for Donald Trump. The current president, don't forget, he is still president till January. Hard to believe, I know, but he is. The current president called Donald Trump's supporters garbage. Now, here's the way it goes in politics. The people, citizens, voters, we're allowed to call politicians garbage. They are not allowed to call us garbage. If you do that in politics, you know this, Pete, you are dead. And just like Hillary Clinton in 2016, when she ruined her election campaign by announcing that Trump supporters were deplorables, Biden ruined Kamala at this point. I think she was going to lose anyway, we now know, but this was the nail in Kamala's electoral coffin, calling 71 million Americans garbage. You can't do that.
No, not at all. You should never, ever insult the voters, and I don't understand why anybody in the Democratic team allowed that to happen. Like I said, like you said, Kevin, that I do think that that Biden deliberately did this.
Yeah, I'll tell you,
I really do.
Interrupt you for a second. Yeah. I'll tell you why it's deliberate. Don't forget, that night she was having a big rally, and this was some kind of video call.
Yes, it was.
He did, and he was asked not to do it. He said, "No, I definitely want to do it."
Yeah.
And what he did was pull the rug from under Kamala's feet. So in the end, I think, I don't think, I bloody well know, Joe Biden has got the result he wanted.
I completely agree with you. The man was tucked up in bed by about 9:30, so yeah, probably the most peaceful sleep that man has ever had. Yeah. I really do, because let's be honest, Kamala Harris of the Democratic Party stole the presidency out from under him. That is what they did. They took the presidency and they just got rid of Joe Biden. And like you said, Joe Biden has an ego. He is a grumpy old man, and he was never going out without a fight, and his last 2 cents was to stick the nail in, and boy did he do that. I have to admit, I do think the writing was on the wall. I think Kamala had lost by then anyway.
Well, we now know.
But we now know.
At the time, I thought, that's it. That's tipped it in Trump's favour. But I think, that was the time we were frankly being hoodwinked by the media, by pollsters, that this is really close. We now know it wasn't. But if she had any chance at all, the moment Biden called Trump supporters garbage, that chance went.
Yeah, because I think it showed I think it was the final mask slipping of what the Democrats really think of people. I think that's what it was. It was that moment of, do you know what, we just hate you. Yeah. And I think that a lot of Americans saw that and thought, do you know what, you might hate us, but I'm going to make sure that you're out of office.
Yeah, that's you, me, Pete, folks. All these left-wingers, they think we're thick.
Yeah.
And we're dim. because you know we're right of centre. I'm not going to say we're necessarily right wing, but you know, all right, right wing. What the hell? They think because of that we're thick, that we're stupid. That's what the Democrats think of Trump supporters, and that's in fact that they're the thick ones, because you don't dismiss voters, no matter who they're supporting, as garbage or deplorables. You'd think they would have learned that.
But it also gifted Trump this great moment of him in a garbage truck and in the high vis, and in the great Trump fashion of just taking a moment, spinning it around, and throwing it right back at the Democrats, like he did with the basket of deplorables.
Yeah.
You know, and I still think the bigger one really was when Kamala compared Trump to Adolf Hitler.
Yeah, well, I
really think that was the bigger one here. Well,
Frank
really
Lutz,
did.
The soothsayer of American politics, till about 3-4 weeks ago, he was saying Kamala's going to win. The moment she started calling Donald Trump a fascist and Nazi, the moment that became the Democrat rhetoric, Lutz said, that's the moment they lost.
Yeah.
That's the moment they lost.
I agree with him on that.
Interesting that dropped from their narrative in the final days, because they knew it wasn't working.
But it dropped from their narrative, but the problem was that their friends in the media couldn't let it go.
Oh, of course
they couldn't let it go.
MSNBC were unbelievable.
Oh, my God.
They compared it to the Nuremberg rally.
Yeah.
Well, let's just, we're going to go to break in just a second, but let's give ourselves a kind of idea of why Kamala was so useless. Here she is on Fox TV being interviewed by Brett Meyer. You remember this moment.
You've been in office for 3.5 years.
And Donald Trump has been running for office.
But you've been the person holding the office.
Come on.
So it was a tense interview.
So she did. I mean, she was hopeless at that. She was trying to sort of blame America. Brett Meyer made a very good point. He said, Kamala, you're running on the ticket of change. Change. We're going to change. Well, you've been in power for nearly 4 years. So how can you be the ticket of change? And her answer was, Donald Trump's been in opposition. What a load of rubbish
that interview absolutely sang her. You could watch the polling figures drop the longer that interview went on. It was astounding.
She was almost as bad on 60 Minutes with Bill Whittaker.
Well, 20 minutes.
And here's another reminder of why I think she lost, because she is actually the most annoying person on the face of the earth.
I don't know what's wrong with you young people. You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? You exist in the context.
I'm a gun owner. Tim Walz is a gun.
I did not know that.
If somebody breaks in my house, they're getting shot.
Yes, I hear that. I hear that.
Probably should not have said that.
But my staff will deal with that later. Who doesn't love a yellow school bus? Right? Can you raise your hand if you love a yellow school bus, right? Just, there's something about the, and most of us, many of us went to school on the yellow school bus, right?
That's about all she did for the last 6 months, this sort of howling cackle, this joyless cackle, like a witch laugh, really awful. Thank God she's lost, so we won't have to put up with her for a moment longer.